Vui vậy hả?
Thank you for seeing me.
Date, and he was already regretting agreeing to it. At 35, he had been through enough disappointing first meetings to know how these things usually ended. The sandwich in front of him sat untouched. The evening air was cool, and the city lights were just beginning to flicker on around them. He took a sip of his iced coffee and wondered how long he should wait before texting his sister that this was a terrible idea. Then he saw her. A woman in an elegant cream blazer was making her way down the sidewalk in a wheelchair, moving with practiced confidence through the evening crowd. Her blonde hair caught the streetlights, and there was something striking about the way she carried herself, a quiet dignity that commanded attention without demanding it. Nathan's breath caught. His sister hadn't mentioned this. She hadn't said anything about a wheelchair, about a disability. And suddenly, Nathan felt something ugly rising in his chest, a mixture of panic and shallow prejudice that he didn't want to acknowledge but couldn't quite push away. The woman approached his table, and her eyes met his. They were intelligent, perceptive eyes that seemed to see right through him. "Nathan," she asked, her voice steady and clear. "I'm Victoria Lane." "Yes, hi," Nathan stammered, standing up awkwardly. "Please, sit down. You already are. I just meant." Victoria smiled gently, wheeling closer to the table. "It's all right. Most people don't know quite what to say. I'm used to it." They ordered food, and Nathan tried to make conversation, but his mind was racing with all the wrong thoughts. How would this work? What would people think? His friends, his family, everyone would notice. Everyone would stare. And beneath all that noise was a question he was ashamed to even think. Why would his sister set him up with someone in a wheelchair without warning him first? Victoria seemed to sense his discomfort. She had lived with it long enough to recognize the signs in other people's faces, the subtle pulling away, the forced politeness masking disappointment. "Your sister told me a lot about you," Victoria said, taking a bite of her sandwich. "She said you're an architect, that you love designing spaces that bring people together." "Yeah, that's right," Nathan replied, grateful for the neutral topic. "I've always believed buildings should serve the community, not just stand there looking impressive." "That's a beautiful philosophy," Victoria said. "I wish more people thought that way. Accessibility isn't just about ramps and elevators. It's about dignity, about designing a world where everyone belongs." Nathan felt a small stab of guilt. "Is that something you deal with a lot? Buildings that aren't accessible?" Victoria laughed, but there was no bitterness in it. "Every single day. I run a marketing firm downtown, and you'd be amazed how many businesses still treat accessibility as an afterthought. I've had meetings in buildings where I had to be carried upstairs, where the only bathroom I could use was in the basement through a storage room." "That's terrible," Nathan said, and he meant it. "It is," Victoria agreed. "But it's also taught me something valuable. The world shows you very quickly who sees you as a person and who sees you as a problem to be solved." Nathan shifted in his seat, feeling the weight of her words. They talked for another 30 minutes, and despite himself, Nathan found himself drawn in by Victoria's intelligence and humor. She spoke about building her company from the ground up, about the car accident 5 years ago that had changed everything, about learning to redefine what strength meant. "The hardest part wasn't losing the use of my legs," Victoria said quietly, looking out at the city lights. "It was losing people's ability to see past them. Suddenly, I wasn't Victoria the ambitious entrepreneur or Victoria the woman who loved hiking and dancing. I was just the woman in the wheelchair. Everything else about me became invisible." Nathan felt something crack open inside his chest. He recognized himself in her words, recognized his own shallow first reaction, and felt ashamed. "I'm sorry," he said suddenly. "When you first arrived, I was thinking all the wrong things. I was worried about what people would think, how it would look, instead of actually seeing you. And I hate that about myself. Victoria looked at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, slowly, she smiled. "Thank you for seeing me," she said softly. "Not everyone gets there. Most people stay stuck in that first reaction, and they never push past it. The fact that you can recognize it and name it, that matters." Nathan felt tears pricking his eyes. "My father had a stroke 2 years ago. He's in a care facility now, and I visit him every week. And every single time I go, I see the way the staff talks past him like he's not there, like his mind stopped working when his body did. I hate it when they do that, and here I was, doing the exact same thing to you." "We're all learning," Victoria said gently. "The question isn't whether we have those first reactions. We're human, we're shaped by a society that's taught us to fear difference. The question is what we do next, whether we let those reactions define us or whether we challenge them." They talked until the cafe was getting ready to close, long past the polite endpoint of a first date. Nathan learned that Victoria had built her company into one of the most successful marketing firms in the city, that she employed over 30 people, and that she'd just been featured in a business magazine for her innovative approaches to inclusive advertising. "I would have never guessed you were a CEO, Nathan admitted. "My sister just said you were someone I should meet." Victoria laughed. "She's smart, your sister. She knew if she told you everything up front, you might have said no. Sometimes we need to meet people as humans first before we let our assumptions get in the way." As they prepared to leave, Nathan felt something he hadn't expected, genuine disappointment that the evening was ending. "Can I see you again?" he asked, then quickly added, "I mean, if you want to. No pressure. I just really enjoyed talking with you." Victoria studied his face, and Nathan held his breath, hoping she could see past his earlier hesitation to the person he wanted to be. "Yes," she said finally. "I'd like that." They went on a second date, then a third. Nathan learned to navigate the world differently, noticing for the first time how many obstacles existed for people in wheelchairs, how many assumptions people made. And Victoria, in turn, saw in Nathan someone willing to learn, willing to challenge his own preconceptions. 8 months later, Nathan proposed outside the same cafe where they'd first met. And when Victoria said yes, tears streaming down her face, Nathan understood something profound. The best love stories aren't the ones where everything is easy from the start. They're the ones where we learn to see past our own limitations to recognize the extraordinary person who's been there all along. Because being truly seen, in all our complexity and humanity, is perhaps the greatest gift we can give each other.